Could Dusk Network be the blockchain for the first CBDC in Europe? A big bank in the Netherlands called Rabobank is certainly hinting towards it. The Dusk Network is not ahead in transaction speed or a robust ecosystem, at least not yet. They are ahead in something that's maybe even more important, its regulations. Dusk was built from the ground up to comply with regulations. That's why it's called Reg DeFi, Regulations DeFi. It's super light and fast. It uses proof of stake. Could this coin be the next Godzilla in the crypto market? Well, we think they might just be planning that. Is 2021 going to be the year of Dusk Network? Let's dive into it. Welcome to the channel, Simon Says. In this episode, we're going to explore why Dusk Network has a huge potential. And please be sure to subscribe and hit that notification button. This is not financial advice.
Yeah, so we can simplify a bit, right? So securities, or the financial markets, I should say, that's the kind of the sector that we're going for, right? So that's what we're building the blockchain for. So that's kind of what it does. But what it is a privacy blockchain. It has smart contracts, and it basically supports fancy stuff like zero knowledge natively. So the goal is to make the financial sector a bit more fair, a bit more efficient. But that's kind of in the use cases territories. But what we really excel at is that kind of privacy. It's proof of stake based. So we've built our own consensus mechanism, but it's in a proof of stake family. The 2015, 2016 timeframe set up the blockchain team at Shell and did a brief stint in renewable energies. So mainly in offshore wind and those kind of renewables. Yeah, so I believe during my tenure, we worked on roughly 3 projects, and I believe 2 of them are still in production. I think 1 ended up getting shelved. But hey, 2 of the 3 is pretty good for corporate IT. So what we see in finance is that there's a lot of challenges around either people not having access to certain things or being forced to go through brokers, and all of these little steps of the way come with their own fees and their own time waste and you name it, right? And in some processes this isn't too bad, but there's also a lot of other processes where this is around how you fund your business or your investment portfolio, maybe even your pension fund, you name it. And there we think it's quite bothersome that these spaces are so heavily intermediated without these intermediaries necessarily adding value. So that's where blockchain solution is very nice if you can actually do security tokens well. So effectively use smart contracts to represent financial instruments, or to replace financial instruments, I should say. If I want to buy shares in a company like Uber a few years ago, right? When it wasn't IPO'd yet, you go to some kind of share broker, you say, I want to find these shares, and they go to look for you, and you maybe use 2, 3, 4 brokers, and they all take a slice, right? So at the end of the day, I think I'm paying $25 per share. The guy that's selling on the other hand, 4 brokers, so they want to remain confidential because I might be able to buy a few shares now, but I want millions. And so I don't want to drive up my own price, right? By telling the market, this is what I want. And also they don't want to reveal themselves to the counterparty because that's another kind of issue with their strategy. And they might not know how to find these shares. Well, the blockchain or doing equities and smart contracts, for example, solves all of this because you can retain your confidentiality, but also communicate to anyone that owns a token, for example, without revealing who you are. So just these 2 little aspects of the Dusk Network in this case can take out that entire broker chain for that little industry, getting rid of those fees, of those intermediaries. And there's these little value pockets or use cases that work tremendously well at different stages of the value chain. So it starts with like little SMEs all the way up to the capital markets. And those kind of a few dozen areas where we really see tremendous value immediately are kind of our initial focus coming out there, where you can expect 5, 6 nicely sized announcements and a few big cannons.
Nice. How much room is there for you guys to keep growing?
Well, we can discuss growth, right? And what we're doing is basically we're following a very deliberate path towards the top 100, basically. So we've seen a lot of other projects take this route of incentivized testnet onwards to a public mainnet, very rich open source development community around it. Dusk's technology and use cases are, really innovative. And if we hit those next few milestones, for which again I think all the hard work has already been done, I fully expect us to comfortably break that kind of top 100 permanently and keep going from there. So our main benefit there is Dusk. We benefit from an extremely large market. It's the financial sector. So only getting a few use cases right, like the private equity example I mentioned, quickly makes us a multi-billion-dollar infrastructure. So it might seem a little bit random that things are happening now. There's quite a bit of thought that goes into it. And of course, we benefit from the macro of the market, right? BTC is doing well.
Right.
But you can also see that in the micro that we are starting to outperform these indicators like Bitcoin, right? So this is something that I intend to obviously continue and climb in rank, and then sticking to our milestones. And with every stage that we clear, more people should become aware of the direction we're headed in. I expect this to continuously kind of strengthen our growth and adoption, and can only be grateful for the opportunity so far, and I intend to drive it home over the next few years.
Dusk Network is going to release its candidate on Friday the 9th of April. This event is happening in Amsterdam at the DuskCon. Some players are keen on Dusk, big players, so we should pay attention. Dusk has already had a part in the Dutch stock exchange, and it seems that they could be hitting a multi-billion market. They are ready to launch some big and new announcements. Big talent, as Jelle from Dusk calls them. Is Dusk Network the crypto gem that many might have missed? If Dusk had to hit the top 100 as Jelle suggests, or even beyond it, it would be a 10x and maybe even a 20x at this point. We believe Dusk has all the cards right. It seems like the stars are aligning for a huge and big moonshot. This is not financial advice though. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.